finally, someone is coming for the sword. That's right, we finally have sword updates, boys. No longer will we be saying what sword, because Blizzard evidently has revealed a plan for what's going to happen with Sargeras' sword. Is he going to come and show us how good his pullout game is? Well, we have to wait and see. Let's see what Doran, the Teller of 1,000 Truths, has to say about the plan for Sargeras' sword.
Looks like Blizzard has not actually forgotten about the famous sword that is still stuck in Silithus. In a recent interview during Midnight Beta, they once again brought it up, talking about how a certain person is going to come and claim it, but it isn't time for that yet. Based on the new lore we got of Azeroth being on Hara, being ripped out from the cradle in Harandar, right, and very likely placed in the Titan prison in Kazagar.
If I will say, like, straight out, if Sargeras does in fact return and pull his sword out of Azeroth, I think that means that him and Illidan have like come to some kind of agreement / team up anti-hero shit, and it's going to go down. They're going to help us defeat maybe the last Titan, or maybe Sargeras becomes the last Titan. Maybe Illidan becomes the last Titan. Maybe Azeroth. I don't know. Whatever it is, it sounds like they're going to be on our side if in fact he does come back and pull that sword out.
Our sword storyline might start finally making more sense. Why would Sargeras stab Silithus out of all the places? And was it leading to hit the prison just hard enough to break, but not hard enough to destroy it, to bring in this entire current chain of events? Also, who is this person they're talking about that is going to come for the sword? So far, based on just the sheer size alone, it's likely either Sargeras himself or the Titans. Let's look at all the new info that we...
Yeah, right. Could you imagine Aman'Thul coming back and grabbing that sword? That would be an interesting one. You gotta remember, Sargeras has already defeated all of his siblings once before. He's like the ultimate combat Titan. Like, he is combat ready. He's the best at fighting compared to his siblings. His siblings, some of them, maybe, you know, Aman'Thul's a good planner. He's conniving and all this shit. But when it comes to sheer power output, he was able to defeat them all. So maybe if somebody like Aman'Thul comes and picks up that sword, maybe he gets on a level where he can actually compete and, you know, combat against shit. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We have, and how this sword finally is going to come into play, as it is, after all, the focal point of the World Soul Saga. So there is a really cool platform called Tester Up, where you can actually earn real money by testing out apps and just simply playing games. If you got some free time in your hands, this is an excellent choice. Tester Up has over 22 million users, so this is not some experimental platform. It is trusted by a whole lot of people. It is super simple. You just sign up, choose a task, and start earning. There is no experience or anything that you need to know to start, and it can be done from anywhere whenever you have extra time. And this can come as a really cool side income. Once you complete a few offers and you reach $20, you can cash out via PayPal within 24 hours. So if you got some extra time, if you're waiting for something, you need to kill some time, instead of playing just some random mobile game, you can actually play a similar game on Tester Up, and you can actually earn real money by doing so.
Yeah, the voice doesn't match the build, right?
While you game with the platform Tester Up, click my link in the description and join today. So we have actually been talking about this sword for a while now. Before it was a meme really, and then Blizzard started really talking about it, and to not really BS you in this video with the same info that I probably talked about and that you probably already know, Blizzard is actually teasing the sword once again. We got an interview from a month or two.
I wonder, we're gonna have like the Twilight Cultist invasions. We already know that's coming with the pre-patch event. Are those Twilight Cultists gonna play any role here? Because you remember we had that the Hermit Orc, or whatever the fuck his name was. He was like a Twilight Cultist guy who was standing there in Silithus talking about the sword and everything else. He had like some interesting voice lines about what was coming and all this other stuff. So clearly they're interested in the sword. They know it plays some kind of role. I wonder if the pre-patch event is going to take us back here at all. We know the invasions are happening. We just don't. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to happen yet.
Sword once again. We got an interview from a month or two back during the Midnight Alpha, or really beta at this point, where one of the lead devs, Maria Hamilton, talks about how the sword is definitely not being forgotten, how it is waiting for the right person. Honestly, we've been breaking our heads, like our minds, over this sword for it to start.
So Maria said the sword is waiting for the right person. So we got like a sword in the stone kind of thing right now. You know, Alexander comes and pulls it out. I guess we'll see.
Not making sense.
Maybe Sargeras put it in a way where only he can pull it out, right? Only Sargeras can pull out. Everyone else has to stay in. I don't.
Because everything we kind of connect
Play
just
on words.
doesn't really make too much sense. I mean, was Sargeras
King Arthur,
really
yeah, what I say,
trying to
Alexander, I have no
destroy
idea.
Azeroth, and he aimed for just stabbing the planet as like a last resort, like no one is going to get this planet if I can get it? Was he trying to hit the World Soul and missed, or did he precisely strike Silithus? And literally, why Silithus out of all the places in the world? This also raises the question, why did
I definitely think based on the cinematic and like the way he's kind of, he's got his hand on the planet, it looks very aimed. I feel like Sargeras, whatever he did, that point in Silithus, the way, how deep he drove it in, that was all like part of his plan. I don't think he was trying to destroy Azeroth in that moment. We've seen images of Sargeras destroying planets. I mean, he just fell swipe through the entire thing, destroying it in a second. So I don't think that, I think if he wanted to destroy Azeroth in this moment, he could have. But instead, he wanted to do something else. What that plan was, we're not sure yet. Maybe shake up Azeroth. I don't know. Leak some of the blood out. Who knows? But his plan was clearly just the tip. That's what it seems like. He didn't want to go all the way in. That was all intentional by design.
he just do it in the first place instead of the entire, 25,000 years of the Burning Legion shenanigans and all the infiltrations and
He's
the
cleaved
invasions?
planets in
Well,
half before,
we
yeah.
do actually currently have some hints. Now, I just want to say straight out, I really don't think this is some overarching, like, Blizzard 20-year plan, and I really think they're just kind of winging it as they go and just making things up. I mean,
Maybe.
originally, they definitely had something planned for this. This is without a doubt. I mean, the sword was added to the game after the Legion. Finally, we got that iconic...
Yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of winging it too. Also, there's like the Metzen effect where he came back, because for sure, like, Metzen retired, right? And if he wasn't paying attention to WoW at all, imagine the last thing Metzen did was he left the sword in the planet, and then he came back, like, whatever, how many years later now, 10 years later or something since Legion, and he was probably like, hey guys, what happened with the sword? And everyone was, what's this guy talk about? There's a sword in the planet? And he's like, yeah, the fucking Titan-sized sword that I left in Silithus. What'd you guys do with it? Oh, we didn't do anything with that. We went to the Shadowlands. What are you talking about? What do you mean the fucking Shadowlands? I left a sword in the planet. Haven't the players been asking about this thing? What the fuck did you guys do with it? We didn't do nothing, actually. We kind of explored Kultirans and Zandalari trolls and yeah, we went to Shadowlands. Oh, God. All right, we got to fucking address the sword now, and I feel like that's what kind of happened. But whoever came in, it wrote some lore that kind of completely diverged away from what their original plan was, and now Metzen's got to turn that shit back, right the ship again. It's going to take him 3 expansions to do it.
Cinematic, which was...
Oh, yeah, and we destroyed Arthas's lore, right? Imagine that. Imagine his face where they told him, oh, yeah, and we completely fucked up the Lich King lore while you were gone. Sorry about that. A little bit of a fuck up.
About 10 years ago, and the devs were actually talking about this at the time. We saw that little red dot in the sky that is the prison of Sargeras. We were told to keep an eye on it because if it disappears, bad things will happen. And they also kind of hinted at the sword that it wasn't like really random. Honestly, I think at this point in time, this was kind of planned for like some future event. Chris Metzen did have an idea for this, and he also added a lot of the World Soul Saga stuff that obviously wasn't originally planned with the War Within, as this was probably his old idea, and then we kind of segued into the random few expansions that we got. So they're kind of...
It keeps getting worse. I forgot about Sylvanas too. Man, so much happened since Metzen left. Imagine he was like, all right, get the Horde leadership together with the Alliance and everything. We'll figure this out. We got to get Sylvanas back in here. They're like, Sylvanas? Yeah, what about Sylvanas? Yeah, we're going to get Sylvanas back. She's leading the Horde, isn't she? Actually, she's serving an eternal damnation in the Shadowlands. Oh, fuck, what is with you guys in the damn Shadowlands? You guys went and fucked everything up. You went to the realm of death and killed this game. What the fuck's wrong with you guys? We don't know. And we fucked up the Lich King lore. Yeah, that happened too. Okay. All right, we're going to have to fix this. Get Anduin on the phone. Yeah, Anduin's really emo now, and he's just wandering around. What do you mean wandering around? He's just wandering around. We don't really know where he is. We kind of made him really emo, and he's just wandering around. Oh, fuck. So who's leading the Alliance? No one really. We got somebody sitting on the throne. He likes the light a lot. I think he's doing something. All right. Give me 3 expansions. We'll fix it.
building off that right now, where we kind of left off in Legion. The most interesting part is
Oh, yeah, and
the
Uther.
announcement of the World Soul Saga back in
Uther became a
2023.
bitch too.
You may
Oh my
remember the
god.
main promotional material for the saga itself was the Sword of Sargeras. Also, the opening cinematic was the Sword of Sargeras, that entire Anduin and Thrall talk scenario in Silithus. You might have also noticed that literally nothing happened with the sword, and we've already seen most of 12.0 in the beta. So almost 2 expansions later, nothing is happening with it, yet the sword is still the focal point. Well, that brings us to the interview, the most notable one that is on the official WoW channel on YouTube, where Chris Manson himself told us that the sword is going to be a 13 thing, meaning it is...
No, isn't King Greymane king right now? I think Greymane was serving partially after Varian died, but I'm pretty sure right now it's Terrellian, right? Terrellian's the one sitting on the throne. He's the one kind of leading Stormwind right now.
Is going to be a last Titan focal point, and he also told us that we are not prepared for that moment, almost certainly confirming the return of Illidan, because at the moment Illidan and Sargeras are going to kind of come in the same package. Now this is all tied down with the NPC.
Yeah, I definitely think if Sargeras comes back, as he said, there's no way Illidan, he's not going to defeat Illidan and break out of his jail or something. It's definitely like a package deal. Illidan and Sargeras are returning together.
The dialogue they just added around the World Soul Saga announcement in Silithus of that Void Hermit. He told us there is a reason that Sargeras targeted this area out of any other, and that he's really not that different from the Titans. He just uses different, more radical means. I've talked about this a bunch of times, but really so far it does appear that the entire Sargeras was a noble Titan that went mad narrative is a wild oversimplification of what actually happened back in the day.
I'm expecting Azeroth's going to get that sword. That's an interesting one. Maybe the World Soul actually manifests and Azeroth pulls the sword out, pulls it out herself, pulls it out of herself. I don't know.
So, since the saga announcement, the only mention of the sword that we got so far until the Midnight Beta is that when Sargeras struck, the Beledar crystal started changing, and it likely dislodged the black blood of the old gods that is in the crust of the planet. Keep in mind, none of this was actually been followed up on so far. So, this brings us to just about a month or two back when we got the most recent interview from Maria Hamilton, who told us a little bit after Midnight announcement that they definitely had not forgotten about the sword, even though it isn't really, being announced in Midnight. They said that the sword will still be in play, just not yet, and it hasn't been forgotten. It is just waiting for the right person to claim it, and that person has not shown up yet. Seeing that it is literally known as the sword.
I wonder if there's like some way where like they grant us back our Legion legendaries when the sword gets taken out, because you guys remember, like, that's why we don't have our Legion legendaries anymore. Everybody drained their legendaries into the sword. So they're completely useless now. Yeah, we destroyed the best weapons in the game. I wonder if there's like a way where like take the sword out and then re-grant us our Legion legendaries. Because in terms of like power scale, like End of Legion, when we had our legendaries fully maxed out, that's still kind of like the most powerful we've ever been. Maybe outside of like corruption gear and shit, if you remember like End of BFA shit. But having those legendaries back maybe will be the way that we can, get to a power level where we can take on Titans and shit. Who knows? But I'd be down to get my Legion Legendary back. That'd be kind of cool.
Sargeras, I think it is definitely an indication
we
that
got them back in remix, right.
His sword, which we kind of already knew, seeing that they confirmed the return of Illidan in the last Titan, and as I said, Illidan and Sargeras are connected. I've talked about this before, but I think the real story behind the creation of the Burning Crusade and the entire Sargeras Titan split is much deeper than we currently know, and it isn't impossible that they might even side together in this final attack on Azeroth, because both of these guys really want to claim Azeroth. The only thing I want to cover in this video though is the combination of the new Midnight lore that we might kind of use to make more sense as to why the sword was put there in the first place, which really is the biggest mystery why Silithus out of all the places out there.
Yeah.
Now the big
Why
information
Silithus?
from Midnight is the entire Harandar area, the Cradle and the Haranir lore. We recently learned that Azeroth's real name is Anhara, that the Haranir saw her as the goddess, the original one. Then we've learned that Azeroth's World Soul location was originally in the Cradle in Harandar, and when the Titans came, they violently ripped her out from this place. When she was ripped out, the Rift of Aln, aka the Emerald Nightmare, was created, and we kind of connected the dots with the Vorwithin lore. What we've learned in the Vorwithin...
Man, you got to be careful around Aman'Thul. This guy has an issue with just ripping shit out. He don't give a fuck. He doesn't consider damage. He doesn't consider, fallout. This guy sees an old god, rips it, fist it, and rip it out of the planet. Sees a world soul, fist it, and rip it out. That's just what he does. This guy, Aman'Thul the Fister. That's what they should call him. This guy just rips shit apart for no reason and always leaves issues behind after he does it. He doesn't learn his lesson.
Is that very likely the physical location of the prison of Azeroth, the ones Titans created, is apparently in Kazakar. We've discovered that the bottommost layer is known as the World Core, and this World Core is actually powered by this giant manifold system like that is below Azeroth that powers all the Titan facilities all the way from Northrend. So it's likely that they moved her from Harandar to Kazakar. Now, keep in mind, Sargeras was a Titan, so he was definitely very well aware.
This is the image I was talking about, where like Sargeras just cleaves planets in half. Like, very obvious, he knows how to destroy a planet. He's done it many times before, and he doesn't do a stabbing motion when he just freaking fell swipe. He just swipes through that shit. So that's why I don't think really that he intended to destroy Azeroth. I think he could have if he wanted to in that moment. Sargeras the Cleaver, that's right.
Of this mechanism, I mean, he was involved in other planet conversions and everything. He knows how the Titans work, and he kind of probably already knew where this prison was located. And honestly, by this point, I would say that very likely he wanted to strike close enough to damage the prison and start the entire chain of events, but very likely not enough to destroy the World Soul. I think if he stabbed Kazakar, the World Soul would just be gone. Now, this does raise a question, why not? I mean, wasn't his original goal to destroy Azeroth so that the universe can be remade anew? As I said, it's likely that there is a lot more to this known origin.
Yeah, there's canon lore out there. He was destroying all planets, but there is canon lore out there that supposedly when he came to Azeroth, that like the World Soul spoke to him. Like he had this great vision from Azeroth and everything, and it changed his mind about what he was going to do with our planet. Now, what his plan was, we don't know. There's only one person who's probably hearing what his plan is right now, and that's Illidan. They're probably chatting it up, and he's slowly revealing to him the truth about what Azeroth is and what his plan was for it and everything else.
Story that we're currently...
I don't by any means think Sargeras is going to become a good guy, but I do think that his enemy is going to be our enemy. And the enemy of my enemy is my pee-pee, right? That's the saying. I think that's how it goes. Maybe I said it wrong. I don't know.
Aware of. It's probably not as simple as just destroying Azeroth with a sword, because really he could have done that at any time now. He wouldn't have to go through 25,000 of years of shenanigans with everything he did. However, this new interview confirmed that a certain person is going to be returning for the sword. And really at this point, I mean, just based on the sheer size of the sword, that is either going to be Sargeras himself or one of the Titans that are going to come. But I think the evidence is really leaning into the side of Sargeras, because they told us about Illidan coming back in that interview, and we know
that's true. Metzen did say you are not prepared for what is to come. So I mean, he knows that. They've already got it written in there. Illidan's coming back.
He is the one that is actually controlling his prison. However, as I said, with the recent hints of Legion activity and also kind of some demon independence, as in them being ruled by themselves, I don't think he is coming back for his Burning Legion. It's possible that the Titans might be saying Sargeras was right all along, and we really do have to use these radical measures. We really have to go all in. However, it would definitely be interesting to see how this is really going to tie in all together. Last Titan is all about Northrend, but all this Sword of Sargeras stuff and Kazakar is all the way at the bottom of the map. Personally, I think this could be related to the manifolds. As I said, the Chamber of Azeroth is powered by this worldwide Titan system, so it's likely we might restart this manifold, because we know with his malfunction some time ago, and then it will all start making sense, because at this point in time we're just kind of jumping from one side of the map to the other side of the map without not really much of a connection. Thanks for watching, and check out how Midnight seems to be revamping areas below Call to Last with the new evidence we got from the beta we discovered by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on
I got some comments on this.
Greek Titans that I've recorded live on site in Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
I think part of the disconnection that we've seen between Midnight and the Last Titan, everything is, and Midnight, the Last Titan, and the War Within, is that the War Within was already being created and already pretty much done by the time Metzen arrives. So a lot of the disconnect in the stories and the way some of the stories just hit a dead end is because he had to change shit up. He had to basically shoehorn the War Within in with Midnight and the Last Titan. He had to make it work somehow. Now we got I think basically what we got is that entire ethereal patch and everything else like that was all added in. And then the transfer of the Harandar into Midnight, that was kind of a way of him meshing it all together and making it work. Will it work in the end? We'll have to wait and see. So far, the story has been but I think it's about to get much better. Nice video from Doran.